Hey, what's up everybody? I'm JBFlintlock. In this video, I'm going to show you how to load a muzzleloader. We're going to go over the loading sequence. In my last video, we covered the basic items that you might need to enjoy muzzleloading, to shoot for the first time, to clean, that sort of thing. So this is the 8th video in my video series on muzzleloader education. This is part of my just kind of a winter project that I want to bring education to the muzzleloading community, and particularly those that are just interested or just starting. So I really encourage you to share this video with somebody out there that might have interest in it. As we go along, we're going to get into more advanced topics and things like that, so now would be a great time to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any questions, you can reach me through my website. It's www.jbflintlock.com, or you can comment below in this video. So back to the main topic, loading sequence. So I'm going to be demonstrating with my 45 caliber long rifle here. I was firing it today, so I know that it's unloaded, but what I'm going to start off with, I like to excuse me, I like to run a clean patch down through so that I know it's empty. If this were in storage or something, I would want to get all the oils, any greases, anything like that from its setting and being stored. I want to get those out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and wet a patch. Just put a little bit of cleaning solution on the patch, nothing crazy. I don't want it sopping wet. And then I'm going to grab my range rod, and I have a height restriction here in my basement, so I'm going to tip the gun over like this, and I'm going to go ahead and run a cleaning patch down. And it comes out dirty as I expect because I was shooting it today. If it were in storage, if it was in the safe and if it was in the safe and hadn't been shot in a while, I would definitely want to get it cleaned out really well before I load it up to shoot it. But so let me move it to this side here. So now that we know that it's empty, know that it's clean, we can go ahead and load. So we're going to start with our powder, and I just have a spout on my can, my measure, and I'm going to be loading 70 grains. And so I'm just going to pour it in here, level with the top, and then I would dump the powder down into the barrel, and then I put my powder measure back on my can. You want to keep your powder covered, that way it's safe. You wouldn't want to leave an open bottle of powder sit on the bench or anything like that. So I cover it back up. Now I have powder in there. The next thing I'm going to do is take my patch material, and I'll show you here on camera too. I'm going to wet it. So I'm going to put a little bit of liquid on there, and I'm going to rub it around. I want it to soak through just to the other side, but I don't want it to be sopping wet. So once it absorbs in, I can feel that it's just kind of damp. That's plenty enough. Now when I'm shooting in quick relative time to when I load, like at a muzzleloader shoot or something like that, I use my cleaning solution, which I'll share in a future video what that mix is. But if I'm hunting, I would just use olive oil. Olive oil doesn't freeze until a pretty low temperature. It stays lubricated. It doesn't dry out or evaporate the way that cleaning solution and things might. But for today's demonstration, I'm just using cleaning solution. So now that I have the patch damp, I'm going to lay the material up on top of the barrel, and I'm going to grab my muzzleloader ball. Now this ball, it was a cast ball, so it has a sprue on the top, which the sprue is just the little protrusion that's on the ball from the casting process. If it doesn't have one on there, you can put it in any orientation you want and start the ball. In this case, there's a couple schools of thought. You can put the sprue up, you can put the sprue down, or you can ahead of time take and rub the, roll the ball. A lot of people use two paddles, smooth paddles, and they'll actually push that sprue so that it's blended in with the rest of the ball. I just leave mine alone, but I do put them sprue up so that I can see it. So I'm going to set it on there with the sprue up, and I'm going to grab my short starter. So I'm going to use the short portion of my short starter, set it on the ball, and I load pretty tight, so I'm going to use a hammer to help me, but you could use your hand. You could use your hand and get it started, but I like to use a head of a hammer. So I get it started like that, and you could use pre-cut patches, and I understand that there's times where it's more convenient to use a pre-cut patch, and I do use them occasionally, but for the most part I cut all my patches at the muzzle the way that I'm showing you here. Reason being is I want a good seal all the way around, and I want to make sure that when the patch comes around that ball that it is even all the way around it, and it's not, off center or something like that. I believe that that gives you the most consistent load. So I'm going to pull my material up out of the way. I'm going to take my razor here, and I'm just going to trim that off flush with the muzzle. So now what I have is I'm looking at the ball. It's nice and centered. I have an even patch all the way around, and then I'm going to take my short starter, the long side of my short starter here, and I'm going to tap it the rest of the way down, just a couple inches down. That helps with the starting process. And then I'm going to take my ramrod. Now at this point you could use your ramrod that's in the gun, or in this case I'm going to use my range rod. I'm going to tip the gun over so that I have enough height, and I'm going to try and push the ball down in as smooth a manner as I can. If it gets stuck, you lift it a little bit and give it a little tap, but you don't want it. It's a little easier when you can hold it straight up in the air like at the bench and load with both hands like this. So I'm going to push it all the way down until it seats. So you want to try and do it in as smooth of continuous motion as you can, so that the without really beating on the ball, because you don't want to make it misshapen down inside the bore, because then it would come out and fly funny. So take that ramrod out. So now we are loaded. So now the gun's loaded. So now we're ready to fire. So in this case, being a flintlock, we're going to pull the hammer back to half cock, put some powder in the pan. I like to pull mine back to full cock before closing the frizzen, just in the case that it doesn't stay in the notch. So now I put some powder in, close it, and then I could make it go off. Now what I'm going to do is set my trigger and hold the hammer while I lower it. So I've lowered it back down. In my next video we're going to pull this ball. So if you paid close attention, I actually didn't put powder in this load. I'm here in my basement. I didn't want a live load down here, so I just demonstrated how you would go about it, but without putting real powder in. Either way, I was going to pull the ball, but it's just easier to go through the sequence of pulling it and things. It's just safer with it being empty. So I really hope that you appreciate this video and this was helpful to you. If you like this type of content, give me a thumbs up, and lets me know that you're out there watching and enjoying. As always, thank you and safe shooting.